This is the Agorist Next podcast. I'm Brandon. Definitely upgrading our sound quality so that way we can get you guys better content for sure. We've also got directory that works perfectly fine. People have had problems with Chrome, so if you do want to list your business on there, make sure you list it use the Brave browser. It works a lot better. And yeah, it's real simple too. Like you don't have to email us or anything on there. So you just basically set up an account and a personal account, and then you make a little directory page, all without emailing or anything like that. Super simple. So, and then if you're worried about security or anything, the Brave browser is even better, and a VPN works very nicely. Make sure it's out of countries that have massive bureaucracies. So like I wouldn't use like a VPN in New York or something. I'd want my VPN to be like in a outside country like Chile or Mexico or something like that. But we've got, how you doing, Dag? I got my great
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Great, man. I kind of went off on a tangent there without introducing you first. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all good. Everybody knows who I am.
Right. Yeah, I think you're more popular than I am. But
hey, man, I just breached 100 Twitter followers, so I'm getting there.
Right. Yeah, follow Dag on Twitter too. I think his Twitter handle is Agorist. He made me laugh so hard one time. I forget what he posted on Twitter, but yeah, definitely follow him.
I'm still learning the Twitter thing. It's definitely a little bit like different feel. Like I just recently got on Twitter like a few months ago. I'm so far behind, but I'm
especially from Facebook. I was like, what the hell? Like, and then there's like all these when you reply and then somebody else replies. It's like this big, huge, long train that you're like having to click through and follow. But yeah, it's weird. But yeah, so this episode's Endgame 3. We felt like Endgame 2 was going to be the end, but these New World Order types just keep giving us more content. So what was the first thing you wanted to cover? There's actually some news, but what was the first thing you wanted to cover, Dag?
Well, I don't know, man. Do we want to start with the Klaus Schwab thing?
Yeah.
That kind of lays a good blanket out for everything else.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. So Klaus Schwab was talking about cyber attacks, knocking out all power grids. That would help with the Great Reset and cause the kind of chaos that they want for sure. And then everyone would be at zero because I think a lot of people are working from home now too. So if they didn't have power or internet, that would really knock them out as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. You had mentioned this to me the other day, and it was funny because just that day or the day before, I was talking to somebody about, whatever possibilities for the future, and I was talking about, electricity being one of the things, and it's like they could either do something like, they wouldn't have to knock power out for long. They could knock power out for 2 days, and it would. I don't know if scare is the right word, but let's use it. It would scare people enough, that they would basically do anything if the government told them, let's say they said, oh, it was a terrorist attack or whatever fucking bullshit, which kind of sounds like they're paving the way for that. People would be so terrified that they would literally give up anything. For one, people aren't used to living without electricity. We are extremely pampered. And as somebody who's kind of used to roughing it in a lot of ways, yeah, when the power goes out for a few hours, it still sucks. Yeah, So most people who, most suburban folk, I mean, what the fuck would they do if they were without power for a few days, a week, whatever? Most people aren't prepared for that. So I think that even if they just did it for a very short period, they could really gain a lot of compliance with whatever it was they wanted. And if they did it for longer, I mean, God, they could do whatever they, they can really cause some trouble.
Yeah, and some of these news outlets were talking about this too. So it kind of feels like they're like informing people, like, yeah, hey, like if the power ever goes out, it's a cyber attack, and there was a cyber attack in the Ukraine in December of 2015 too. I don't know if that was the Ukrainian government or who, but yeah. And then some of these mainstream media outlets have been talking about it too. I don't know if I can find anything on it.
Do we want to maybe play that video? I haven't even watched this video yet, so.
Yeah. We'll play the Klaus Schwab video. That's a good idea, Dag. And then that way you guys can see what Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum is talking about here.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, y'all, where it's you try and talk to people about this kind of stuff, and you get called a conspiracy theorist, and it's like, just go look. Like, you can hear like these people say this stuff, out loud, recorded. It's broadcasted on the internet. Like, it's not conspiracy theory shit. Like, I mean, a lot of like old stuff. Let's say from like the 20s or whatever. They didn't have the internet, and people just give speeches and like. Let's take the Horace Manns of the world that were trying to push for, government schooling. Like, they said some pretty terrible things, about like that it is for control, but nobody ever, who's going to go read that, speech, stuff like that's hard. But these days they just put this shit out there, dude. It's not that hard to find it, make whatever excuse you want, but call me a crazy conspiracy theorist for being concerned. Anyhow, that, that stupid intro aside, let's play this. Hopefully it doesn't get a commercial.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
So, yeah, I mean, there you go. Just a minute, but pretty right to the point.
Right.
And that was from July 8th, I believe, to be journalistically integritious. I believe that was July 8th, 2020.
Yeah, it was. You're right on that.
So, yeah, I mean, it's funny because just him mentioning it like that really makes me convinced that it's going to happen.
I know, right? Like he makes it sound like this is like what we're going to do, like kind of, but he doesn't say it like that, but like,
Yeah, when this is a big concern that could happen. And I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, that's always been a concern of something that could happen. There could be some sort of terrorism or cyber attack or whatever. Another reason why decentralization in a lot of aspects it can be helpful, because they can't get everybody at once, in that way. But when we look at things like power or internet or communications or anything, it is something that I think certain people probably could shut down, pretty easily. I honestly feel like governments and stuff could probably do it pretty easily. I feel like terrorists and stuff might have a harder time. I don't know. I'm not an IT guy or whatever, so I don't really know. But this is one of the things where things like communication and energy are basically monopolized. Yeah, there's private companies that do it, but only with the blessing of the government. There's not really an open market for energy. So anything like that is just so much more vulnerable to an attack, either it be intentional by a government or, some other bad actor.
And the thing too about a cyber attack is I'm pretty sure that these elites and Klaus Schwab and these other elites are just salivating over it, because it will give them the great reset that they want. It will put everybody pretty close to zero. I mean, you won't have anybody be able to work. I mean, who knows if they can knock out all power, then they can probably knock out all water, because I'm sure cyber attacks can affect all these government utility companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that way there will be chaos, and they can do martial law or whatever, and or send in troops, quote unquote, or I mean troops to help us, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, because obviously it'll be quote unquote humanitarian. Whatever we're doing will be to to save us.
And then everyone will become even more dependent on the government, and then who knows? They can probably later on they could be like, oh, the economy is so bad that let's do UBI and we'll help out our slaves and stuff like that. But the thing too is like, and I really like the point that you made earlier that we get called conspiracy theorists, and yet this stuff's all out in the open. They flaunt it. They talk about it all the time. You know, just look at a Rockefeller document called Lockstep. You know, that's like the definition of what's going on right now with COVID, is to lock everything down and make a police state and stuff like that. So, you know, and another thing too is that these elites flaunt all of this stuff. Like Jacob Rothschild, he's seen with Marina Abramovich multiple times, but the one that I'm referring to is in front of a painting called Satan Summoning His Legion. So, I mean, you know, you can't make this stuff up. There. Yeah, you know, yeah. Nothing going on here. And then like Marina Abramovich, during Easter, when people couldn't go to church and church was like shut down and cops were coming in and saying you can't hold church service because of COVID, she was doing a Microsoft commercial on Easter that was like, what was it? It was like soul cookings and stuff, like soul cookings and.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know who runs Microsoft, right? Bill Gates. So, and Bill Gates is a Rockefeller too. But yeah, you can't make this stuff up. It's all out there. You know, these people talk about it all the time. Bill Gates was saying that we can help our population numbers by vaccinating people. So, you know, they say it openly and they think that they're untouchable.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's funny that Bill Gates gets so much like credit too. I saw from friend on Facebook or whatever was like, you know, like, oh, you got to listen to doctors. And somebody's like, well, Bill Gates isn't a doctor. And they're like, well, no, he's not a doctor, but he's very intelligent. He designed all the software, so he's worth listening to. You know, so what you just said, like, listen to a fucking doctor. He's not a fucking doctor, man. You know, and it's, I don't know, man. You really got to be questionable of anybody like that. You know, he's got a lot of incentives. He sells a lot of vaccines, and that's really what I see with a lot of this too. Is like, you know, the pharmaceutical companies that last year was the biggest enemy to everybody is suddenly now everybody's best friend. You know, it's like, what happened that suddenly, you know, you trust them? You know, so many people involved in this are involved in, you know, the vaccine game. And I mean, I'm not, you know, trying to put off anti-vax vibes. I'm just saying it's a business, you know, and some people are about to make a lot of money, even if they don't come up with a real, you know, a vaccine that works. They're getting grant money, et cetera. So, you know, there's a lot there for sure.
I think Bill Gates has like doubled his wealth or something, and
I'd heard that. Yeah,
he's got a huge hand in all these, and pretty much every vaccine company. He's the biggest contributor to the World Health Organization, so he pretty much owns it, right? I mean, he contributes more than 51% of the money. So, I mean, he's, you know, if you contribute more than half of the money to an organization, you're pretty much like the owner, right? He does huge amounts of money to the CDC, all these other pharmaceutical companies. He's got a hand in most of the vaccine companies. So, you know, and then he's out here saying that, you know, vaccines will help, you know, help our population problem and stuff. And it's like, well, you know, I probably don't want a vaccine by that guy, but the thing, and then they come out with the vaccine in record time, world record time. Like no vaccine has come out this quickly, and it's like, do we really know the long-term effects of this thing? You know,
we never do with the way vaccines are tested. But dude, just this fucking morning on my local news, gosh, who was it? Was it Fauci? Anyhow, somebody was like, no, I don't think this vaccine's been rushed, or like trying to, you know, breed, you know, whatever they want to make you comfortable with it. And they're like, no, I don't think it's been rushed at all. You know, I think it's great. It's like, well, first off, it was called Operation Warp Speed. So I think that's kind of like rushed. But then if you're going to tell me that that's not rushed, then why are we waiting years on average to get a new drug or medical technology on the market? You know, if this wasn't rushed in 4 months or whatever, you know, they've done this in why why am I still waiting on a medical device I need the FDA to approve? Why are we waiting on all these drugs? Why is this such an ordeal? If they can just do it and it's no problem and it's safe, like give me a break, man. The whole thing's silly. I'd like to talk about how some of this ties into the rest of the Great Reset thing and the rest of the world. And, kind of what I mean by that is, we were talking the other day, a lot of people are using the term build back better, which if you guys, hopefully you don't follow politics at all, but if you do, that is Joe Biden's campaign slogan was build back better, which is clumsy and awkward and terrible. Like just all around. Like I'm not a marketing person, but that's awful. Anyhow, I've seen a lot of other instances of people using this. I shared a meme with it where, it was maybe like 10 different instances of people in other countries, like Germany, Canada, these other places using that same term. Britain using the term build back better, so why are they adopting his term? There's probably something a little bigger going on. I'd actually seen a video of Justin Trudeau using that term, talking about basically, and this is something I've seen from a lot of people, talking about we're going to use COVID as an opportunity to fix all the other problems. The same thing like they were saying with the Green New Deal. Do you remember? It wasn't just going to be environmental stuff. We were also going to fix racial problems and economic, what's the word I'm looking for? Not indifference, inequities or whatever, inequalities. Damn it, D. Economic inequalities and such, by using this Green New Deal, which of course had nothing to do with that. So same kind of thing, they're saying, we got this COVID thing and we're going to use this to, help the poors out more and help the environment out more and all that. So it just sort of, goes back to the whole Great Reset thing. They're using this as an excuse to push through anything else they want to push through, anything else they want to do. They're able to use this, it's bigger than the shit they did in 9/11, use a crisis, push a bunch of stuff through. This would have been unimaginable a year ago. I mean, I think any of us, if you would have said, hey, I'm from the future and this is what happens, would be like, get the fuck out of here. That's crazy. Wouldn't fall for that. Obviously I'm wrong, or I would have been wrong. But anyhow, I see a lot of that stuff sort of tying together, and it should just be so obvious. So if they weren't going to use this, they were going to use global warming or whatever, So then, of course, the question is, what actually, what do you think is actually going to go through? I mean, I could see anything from a year from now being some sort of weird dystopian hellscape to, I don't know, maybe stuff ain't that bad. Maybe stuff didn't go that far, but I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be somewhere in the middle. What, you got any thoughts? Sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
I can't give you an exact picture, but I believe that we'll be in some kind of technocratic oppressive state for sure. And, thing too is like the problem with the government running all this stuff. And I think I said this before, that they'll use their programs and stuff against you. Just like with Canada, it was like, they said during COVID and the lockdown, when they started to lock down, they said, we need all Canadians back home or else we'll take away, all of your healthcare rights. And it's like they already pay for all of their, you're saying that you're going to take away something that they've already paid into if they don't do something that you don't want. And so I think the government's going to use everything as leverage. Like with whether it's you get a driver's license, if you want a hunting license, driver's license, if you want to go to public school or university, or even if you just want to go to the grocery store, I think that they're all going to require a vaccine certificate to do that, which is sad. I mean, and then everyone's going to be like, well, they're not forcing you to do it, but it's like, well, what can I really do without one? Like nothing, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm not really liking the way that the U.S. is going for sure, but I do hope, and I do think that there will be, black market vaccine certificates that you'll be able to get, and that would be fantastic for sure.
So do you think the certificates are going to be like a paper certificate? Because that'd be obviously easy to,
I think they're going to
forge or something. I'm sure.
I think they're going to go
like
electronic.
Right?
Yeah. Everyone's got a smartphone, so they're going to have to do some kind of like QR code or something.
And they'll probably do a government program to give everybody a smartphone too, who doesn't have one. So there's no excuse, right?
Well, they've already got those. Obama was giving homeless people smartphones.
Here I am paying for my own phone like a sucker.
Right. Yeah, it was like I'd see these homeless people have smartphones, and I asked one, I'm like, hey, how did you get that smartphone? He's like, oh, it's this new program that Obama put into place. And I'm like, dude, man, you're on top of it, man. Like, I wish I had, you know.
Got a little computer there.
Right.
So I definitely see a lot of that as well. Leveraging benefits for, vaccine use or whatever. So there could be like fake certificates or, I'm almost thinking like, there'll just be someone in the neighborhood who has theirs, and it's like, hey, you're going to the grocery store, here's my list.
Well, and then
give me my shit.
Add in this US US crypto dollar that they want to implement, right? Add that into the mix with UBI, and it's like, well, since you're so poor, you need UBI, but you can't get UBI unless you have this vaccine certificate. So, that's another reason why they all want a great reset, is because they get so much power from it. It feels like they can almost do, huge wealth transfer. It feels like they can almost do anything, especially if you've got a collapsing dollar. Everyone's going to want to go somewhere else. And I hope they go to crypto instead of taking my thing is, and I know the sheep will probably go for the government backed dollar, but it's like government backed crypto dollar, but it's like, they just collapse the currency, go with something else. Go with something that they don't control. That's what I hope, and that's what I want to see. But I've just been really disappointed lately, especially with all this COVID stuff. Everyone's just complying and letting government shut down their businesses, and
and half of them are asking for more.
They're asking for a lot of them are asking for it, and it's like land of this. It seems like there's just land of the slave, home of the coward, and it's it is what it is. But
I saw a meme someone shared, and this comes up with all the holiday stuff. The holidays are picking up. I saw on the news this morning, they're warning people not to travel for Thanksgiving. Stay home, don't go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. I saw someone share a meme, and it said, skipping large family gatherings for 2020 might just ensure you get to see those family members again in 2021. And it's like, you people are buying this shit, like, really? Like it's, like, what are they trying to destroy? I mean, just any semblance of normalcy, I saw, I think it was a doctor from a hospital, a local here. It was on the news saying, oh yeah, no, it'd be good to skip the holidays, it'll be, safer for next year and stuff. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like, people just think this thing's just like magically going to like go away, and it's not. I mean, look at any of the countries that have the really massive lockdowns that they actually like really enforce, like Australia or something, which is terrifying, by the way. Especially how many people here, if you turn on NPR, they're like, Australia, we need to do Australia. At any rate, they're like, oh, there's no cases. And as soon as they open up, boom, cases again, because that's how this shit works. That's how colds work. They don't just go away. It's so frustrating. So anyhow, though,
but there's an article, and they always talk about science, but if you want real science, there's an article that Jeffrey Tucker wrote November 13th, 2020, and it's on the American Institute for Economic Research, and we'll have a link for it. And the title of the article is "Even a Military Enforced Quarantine Can't Stop the Virus, Study Reveals." It's a good article. He really, I recommend everybody go out and check it out. But that's the thing, that even if there was a military enforced quarantine, you wouldn't be able to stop it. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of a virus, is that the virus needs to grow and spread, and we're the perfect we're the perfect beings for that kind of for these kinds of things. So just like dogs have their own stuff and cats have their own stuff and stuff like that. So
it's just a programming update from God, guys. Don't be afraid of it. Don't take that last statement very seriously, but but kind of.
Well, I think somebody said, I forget who, but somebody said that humans wouldn't even be here if it weren't for viruses. I mean, this is how we've mutated and evolved, right?
John Bush talks a little bit about that, and he references a doctor. Oh fuck, what's his name? Zach. The doctor's name Zachary something or other. I'll try and figure out what it is and let y'all know. But it's Zachary something or other, and I've been wanting to look into his stuff because he talks, a lot about like that, like how there's a reason that viruses are here, and like how much of our bodies are made up of non-human life, bacteria, viruses, etc. How viruses make changes to our DNA, and he kind of thinks like they're like kind of like programming updates, to put it in a more like computery term, but. I really kind of jive with that kind of way of thinking. I want to look into that more because that's very fascinating to me. And again, guys, it's a cold. If you're under 50, it's a 99.99% survival rate. Stop being so scared of it. If you're afraid of grandma getting sick, hey, don't give her a hug. Oh my God, dude. Did you see the hugging station videos where they had like a piece of plastic and like holes with like gloves in it, so like old people and like their grandkids could like hug each other through like a plastic wall?
Yeah,
it was the most disturbing thing.
Hugging condom and stuff. It's just it's absurd.
If I was that grandparent, I'd be like, fuck this trash. Come here and give granddad a hug, the good old fashioned way.
I'd be like, I don't care about the sniffles. Like I could die. Getting out of bed or whatever. I want to see my family.
Yeah, man.
I'm not going to be like some cowering, it's just, the whole thing is just crazy and people buy into it. But, did you have anything else on that subject? Because I kind of wanted to shift to the election and what they might do with it in terms of like, the chaos that they want to create.
I want to shift to that as well. We have not done an episode. So we've done a couple episodes since the election, but not since they've really sort of determined that it really looks like it's probably going to be Kamala Harris. I mean, Joe Biden being our next president. So I definitely want to talk about that, but I sort of have a lead-in question, which hopefully this isn't going to too big of a thing, but I think it matters. Something I've actually been meaning to ask you over the last couple episodes of this. Do you think that, so like, let's say, the Great Reset or whatever, the fucking Illuminati or lizard people or what the fuck ever, do you think that there is one like organization at the top that directs all this, or do you think that there are actually maybe competing organizations trying to take advantage of situations like this? Like, let's say the World Economic Forum might just be one of them, and of course they might scratch each other's back, but do you think there's like one like at the top of the pyramid like group, or do you think that maybe there's like several groups who are kind of vying for power and using things like this to their advantage? The reason that relates is because I think we know that like Joe Biden is going to be the leader, of anything, so I guess how does this play in? How much does the election really matter? Is there somebody or people at the top? Do you think that again it's just one person or one group? Do you think it's a bunch of competing stuff? And then what the fuck are we to expect from a Biden/Harris presidency?
Wow, really putting me on the spot, huh?
I know, man. It was a lot. It was a lot of shit.
I definitely could be wrong, but I think it's one group because all of these same people are like permanent members in the Bilderberg organization. It obviously seems like they're all in cahoots, and then they've all got pictures like shaking each other's hands and having a good old time. So, and then they're all permanent members of Bilderberg and stuff like that. So even if it is multiple groups, it definitely seems like they're working together. I think it's mainly just like one big group called the Bilderberg group. But yeah, and I mean, this stuff's all online too. I mean, you guys can look and see who goes to the Bilderberg meeting every single year. They'll flaunt that too. They'll be like, these are not as much anymore because people got smart. But yeah, they always flaunt it, and stuff like that. But and then in terms of the election, again, I mean, they're all just puppets, and there might be small differences between the two, but at the end of the day, they just really do what their masters want. But I really think that they're going to use this to create chaos, and whether it's getting everyone pissed off at voter fraud, or even saying that Trump's the winner again, when all these Democrats are happy from Biden, you could see all these leftists rioting and breaking shit.
No, man, we're all unified now. Did you get the memo?
No, I didn't get that one, apparently.
That is the funniest thing. It's like a week ago. It's like, you Nazi racist piece of shit. Now it's like, what are you talking about? What are you upset about? We're all supposed to be friends. Get along. There's unity now, guys. Come on,
Yeah. I think it's funny how
see how we can have that.
Right. Yeah, I think it's funny how they think that a president can unify people, and it's like, no. The whole point of government is to steal as much money from you as possible and to divide and conquer. That's pretty much their blueprint. Because if you're not divided and you are unified, then all these people are going to be like, wait a minute. Like, so the real problem here is government instead of whatever it is, the thin blue line people, or Black Lives Matter, or this race of people, or whatever. or whatever divides, or whatever they use to divide us. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
But I've mentioned this before, but it's just like, this is like one of the beauty of party system and democracy is like, you're not mad at the government, you're mad at your neighbor. Even though everyone will admit politicians are full of shit, you're not mad at the government, you're mad at your neighbor because they vote differently. And with like this COVID thing, man, it's an invisible enemy that's inside you, and if you're not wearing a mask or something, you are actively trying to kill me, so it is like, it's almost like all their other shit's falling apart and they had to go to something this extreme. I don't know, just throwing that out there. But at either rate, it's a beautiful thing from their perspective. Like, I mean, they get, all other people are the enemy, not the government. The government's here to save you. It's your neighbor not wearing a mask. It's your Trump supporting neighbor. It's, whoever that is your enemy. And not only do they just disagree with you and, on tax policy and schools and stuff, they disagree with you in a way that's going to kill you and your family. So it's very threatening without them having to be outright threatening about it. It's something, man. I got to give them props. They're good at this shit.
Yeah. One hell of a psyop for sure. I mean, and you're right. It even COVID in and of itself is a divider. You're not wearing the mask, or he only wears the mask over his mouth but not his nose, and his mask is old, and it's or that person doesn't stand 6 feet apart, or it's all it's what a great distraction it is, So
yeah, it was really a beautiful thing they came up with, from their standpoint. What else we got for today, man? Let's see. I feel like most of my notes we went over one way or another.
Yeah, same here. It's crazy because unfortunately I see government and these elite groups
coming out. Intruders or something? I hear your dog going off.
Right, yeah, about to get my gun here. Hopefully we can edit that out.
That makes it real.
Right. But yeah, I see government and these big groups really, unfortunately, doing a good job and coming up with more and more ways to enslave us. And they probably, and the thing that we have to realize is that they probably will be successful for a little while. But I think,
yes,
I think that more and more as this thing unravels, they are awakening more people, and these people are going to see how the Agorists live, how these libertarians and Agorists live, and they say, hey, they're actually not doing bad over there. And so I think eventually that the floodgates will open and we'll see more and more people, jump ship. So.
Yeah, I think people realize that the best thing you can do for yourself is try and be a little more self-sufficient, get your ducks in a row as you can, and I mean, I was talking to my neighbor today. I was helping him fix his car, and we were talking about this stuff, and it's like, dude, like on our, block or whatever you want to call it, our loop where we live, it's like, throughout all this nonsense, throughout the last 4 years, any of that, it's like we can look around and absolutely nothing is different for us. All of our neighbors, we all, there's nothing like, like that matters, to us really, like out here, we're not as far as I'd like to be, but at any rate, it's just like, and I was just, I'm like, get your garden going, dude. Like, I'll help you. Like, let's, do this. Like, if there's any sort of concern about this, it's really the only thing you can do for yourself. Like, what are you going to do? Go vote? Ain't going to make no difference. Just try and be as prepared as possible, build up what you can and work from there. And I really do think that a lot of people are hopefully going to see this. Do you think that there might be a big divide between like city and rural? When I feel like urban, the ones who don't get out are going to be really gung ho about this stuff. But I
hope that because I know the city's going to be really bad, so I hope that there's a big difference outside of the cities, because eventually I feel like they're going to basically set up these checkpoints, just regular checkpoints, and to check to make sure that you have your driver's license that's like COVID or vaccination, certified, especially as all these driver's licenses start to expire. And then you have to get some kind of vaccine to be able to get another one. They could like red flag and say, oh man, this guy drove and who knows, he didn't get his vaccine for XYZ virus. And he started having a seizure or, who knows, right? He like fainted from his fever or whatever while he's driving or something. Who knows what kind of red flag they'll come up with. But I think that they've kind of been trying to groom a lot of the U.S. citizens for checkpoints and stuff, because there's all kinds of checkpoints near the Mexican border. But they're not to go to Mexico. They're just interior checkpoints, and they're there to
within 100 miles of the border, right? They're allowed to do that. I think that's the
quote unquote allowed. Yeah. But
right. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah. But constitutionally they're not. I mean, they're not supposed to impede your free way of travel.
Call them constitution free zones? Isn't it some like ridiculous name like that? They call it constitution free zone or something. Like they're not even hiding it.
Right.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. Yeah,
they can't impede your way of free travel, and they also can't search your car or molest you without probable cause and shit. But anyway, I could give two shits about the law. I'm an agorist.
Yeah.
but it just shows you they don't
like cops.
Yeah, I mean they don't follow their own doctrine. So
right.
So why should we, right? But yeah, I think they've been grooming us for checkpoints for a really long time, whether it's drunk driving checkpoints or
just like the TSA. I mean,
border checkpoints.
I mean, they've been doing the TSA thing for the last 20 years now, just making you.
Oh yeah.
Not have any effect to getting patted down. Hey, let's pat down your children here. Like okay, it's for our safety.
Yeah, I don't know. They always like to randomly. The TSA always like to randomly search me and touch my nuts. So
I've been pulled aside and searched. I've had them hold my backpack when I came back from Canada. They mailed me my backpack because they wanted to search it so thoroughly, and they did not do a good enough job because the shit that I was trying to get in the country I did in that backpack. So
yeah, guys, shit. Are they gonna find it? That's funny.
I hit him pretty good. It worked out. So, but I was really nervous that week until my backpack showed up.
Yeah, then you got your backpack and you're like, sweet.
Yep. Check it out. All right, the goods are there. We good.
That's funny. Dag the Agorist, man.
Oh yeah, man. Been doing this since before I knew it was a thing.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about agorism, right? Is that you don't. Again, like,
I mean, I was definitely a statist back then, but doing a lot of agorist shit. you know?
Yeah, and it's because it's in your best, it's in your best interest, and you're incentivized to do it. And that's the great thing about agorisms, that you don't even need to preach philosophy or anything. People just automatically do it, especially when the government becomes more tyrannical. Now, I do believe that there's this paradigm shift in your mind that says, holy crap, like when you find out about agorism, your mind is just like open to a lot of stuff. And I think your perspective changes a lot. For me personally, how do I want to put this? I was a libertarian, right? Of course I was incentivized to pay as little as possible and stuff. But once I became an agorist, it was like a major life shift. And so I think there's definitely advantages to spreading agorism. And I do think it's important, even though it's not like necessarily a necessity. I think that it enhances a lot of people's lifestyle. And I mean, the philosophy is great. I think it's one of the only 100% pure, consistent philosophies out there. So,
yeah, and I use that as as a point too. When I'm talking to like status friends, and if they mention some way that like they break the law, I try and like point that out. Like, oh, yes, you're working around, working around those regulations, or whatever. Not to make like a big stink about it, but just sort of, point it out that the reason they're breaking that law isn't because they're evil. It's because the law is fucking stupid, and hope that sort of carries over to, to some other aspects of their life.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, pretty much everybody does Agorist shit. Have you ever, have you ever sold something on Craigslist and not paid taxes on it? Have you ever bought something on Amazon and not sat down and written a check to your Department of Revenue of your state? You're legally supposed to do that. Nobody fucking does that. Maybe some business owners because, but.
Yeah, or even a garage sale or,
Yeah, point that out. We had somebody that my wife was getting to read Larkin Rose's book, Most Dangerous Superstition. She got like a dozen copies of it to hand out to people, and somebody was reading it and was like on board until he looked into Larkin Rose and was like, oh my God, he went to prison for not paying taxes. I don't even want to hear what he has to say. And it's like, okay, now you're just copping out because you're getting uncomfortable with how that book's making you feel. You're running into some cognitive dissonance there. And it's like, what a fucking cop out, like, I don't believe anything he has to say because he broke the law once, and it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. But the thing too is that Larkin Rose he didn't break the non-aggression principle, because I think what they get him on,
right?
They got him for
failure to file.
Yeah, failure to file
taxes. Yeah, and he just like he went all out with it. It was like he was taking out like full page ads in the newspaper, like, I'm not paying my taxes, come and get me, kind of thing. Probably not the wisest thing, but held the point. So
yeah, I mean that's some hero shit though. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, and I've even seen people like online, like, this guy's a fraud. He did time in prison for not paying income tax, and everyone's like, yes, we know. That's why we love him. you're out of your depth here, dude.
Yeah, you hate him for that, but we actually love him for that. So,
oh shit. We
one of
we
us
anything else?
One of us is wrong, right? So,
yeah, right.
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I'm happy to see agorism spread more. I see so many people talking about it, and so I've
definitely heard a lot of it, and I've heard a lot of different people say that this is the solution to this COVID shit and this technocracy. I cannot talk. Technocratic nonsense that's coming up, is agorism. And I mean, I've heard a lot of, big name people, not obviously like big name, like, Bill Maher or something, but like, a lot of people, in our movement, podcasters and the like,
especially this year, really especially this year with the COVID and
this
stuff.
Year, last few months, it's just really been like, hey man, this is the way, because going with the system, you either are going to have to comply with a lot of bullshit you might not want to comply with, or you just gotta try to separate. So yeah, I really feel big about that. And then I think that this Thanksgiving and this Christmas, another thing, a whole lot of people not realizing they're being agorists are going to be when they have their gatherings and their Thanksgiving dinners and stuff like that. And I'm really hoping for better, but I mean, I have to say I didn't market many, but I didn't sell many turkeys this year. Normally I sell out every year of the turkeys that we raise here, and I didn't this year. So And some of my customers from last year who I spoke with, they said they're not doing an event this year.
Yeah, that's
So
sad to hear that the COVID's actually that the government is actually affecting Thanksgiving and family.
But I think a lot of people who typically would consider themselves good law-abiding citizens are going to break those. They're not laws, recommendations, whatever the fuck you want to call them, are going to break those. And unfortunately, there might be some Karens out there too. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully there aren't. I'm going to be curious as to what kind of trouble there might be from people breaking those rules. And the one thing I'm really curious of, dude, that we'll never be able to know is I want to see each and every, like Gavin Newsom's house. I want to see his Thanksgiving event. I want to see what the fuck he does. Like, he just got busted. Oh man, it was so hilarious. He came out and did like this apology video. He got busted at this like $1,000 a plate dinner with like dozens of other elites in California, unmasked, sitting down indoors, having dinner. And it's like rules for thee or rules for ye, but not for me, or however that goes. Sitting there, $1,000 plate dinner. He came out with like apology, laughing. And he's like, don't take what I do, but take what I say, kind of thing. Like, what a fucking joke, dude. So I want to see all these politicians, what they do for Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Because they're having their events. They're not going to be wearing masks. They'll probably have poor people catering them. They're full of shit.
Right. Yeah. So many politicians have been caught with that and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's
have a good Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah. Have a good Thanksgiving. To wrap up Endgame 3, I mean, I think that people should prepare for some kind of dollar collapse, definitely unrest. Maybe if you're living in the middle of New York City, you might want to go to a different location.
Yeah, you're a little late to the game on that one, but yeah, get the fuck out of there.
I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but if you thought 2020 was bad, I think that these next years are going to make 2020 look like a piece of cake. So, and hopefully we don't have to do an Endgame 4, but pretty sure that's going to be inevitable.
Yeah,
eventually.
Unfortunately, I believe we're going to have to do several of these as new shit just starts coming out, and hopefully, especially in the future ones, hopefully we can have a little more info on how to, instead of just informing y'all what's going on, what can you do? Try to go some courses of action. What can we do? I guess my recommendation, as always, is learn to grow some food or make friends with people who do. Get a little tighter with your neighbors, try to build a community, check out the Freedom Cells. I've actually haven't had any meetups yet, but actually made some friends and local friends on the Freedom Cell, freedomcells.org, the Freedom Cell Network thing. So check that out. Try to make some friends and support other Agorists if you can. Check out our page in our directory if you have any Agorist businesses or anything you want to list. Get them up on there. And, if you have any issues, just holler at us. We'll help you out. And then join our Keybase as well, the Agorist Nexus Keybase. We have some cool conversations on there. And, hopefully we can get through this, guys.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll end it with a quote here, unless you got something else, Dag. That seemed like... Out of here. Yeah. I have a hard time pronouncing this guy's last name, but I'm sure I'll butcher it just to give you guys a warning. Everything the state says is a lie, and everything it has stolen. That's Frederick.
Is it start with an N?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the existentialism guy? I can't pronounce it either to answer the question. Nietzsche?
Anyways, it's spelled Nietzsche. Sorry, guys. Agorist Nexus out.